All right, welcome back, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in and spending a little time with me. I always thank you for that. I'm not going to be long-winded here, guys. I'm not going to do the long, drawn-out video like I did for the Madden deep dive doing a stream. That stream ended up being over an hour. And then I did another one pertaining to Madden, and that stream ended up being, not a stream, excuse me, I did a recorded video, and that still was about 20 minutes. So I'm not gonna do that this time. There's many other people out there making the deep, longer videos that are good. I saw Eric Rayweather's video already went up. Go check that out. I'm gonna check it out myself as well. I'm just gonna hit on a few key things that looks appealing to me. Overall, presentation is always important, right? It's just like I put in the title, and I'll talk a little bit about it as we get further down in the video. But to me, presentation is an intricate part of a simulation sport. And like I said, I'll get to that in a moment. So let me just get to the highlights, man. Let's look at some of this stuff and see what catches my eye. And I encourage you guys to go look at this article for yourself. I felt like College Football 25 did a good job for the most part with presentation and making you feel the atmosphere and all of that. And as you would expect, it looks like they're going to take it to the next level. One thing that definitely is new that catches my eye, we already knew about this, but I'll talk about it for anybody that doesn't know, is the dynamic time of day, and they're talking about it being a game changer. But basically what's going to happen, guys, it says here, in-game lighting is a key part of making visually stunning games, right? We've made major improvements in this area for College Football 26. Our improved lighting system boosts the realism of every scene, from pre-game warm-ups to post-game celebrations. And the biggest thing that they're talking about here is it will be dynamic lighting, but what catches my eye is it's regional time of day and seasonal time of day, which of course, regional would be 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. might look different on the East Coast than 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. on the West Coast, and all other places in between, right? As well as seasonal time of the year. 8 p.m. looks different than 8 p.m. during another time of the year, right? Or let's say 6 p.m. So that's cool. That's definitely a cool addition where it's not only going to have dynamic lighting, it will be based on where you're playing and when you're playing. So that is a cool little detail. What else do we have here that catches my eye? The light shows. Light shows are cool. We saw this, of course, in the trailers. And it's cool that they definitely have these light shows that are tailored to specific schools. They have the schools listed here. I see Texas State is on the list. Some of you guys will remember I started off my college football dynasty in College Football 25. I used Texas State to begin the cycle. So I might have to run with those guys again because they have a light show. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm definitely going to run with a lower tier team once again because I had fun doing that. And then there's some teams here that have drone shows. It says, drone shows elevate the spectacle, merging technology with school pride. These aerial displays create intricate shapes and patterns that celebrate the team's identity. For example, Clemson's drones will form a tiger paw in the sky, while Ohio State's drones create the recognizable Block O and Brutus the Buckeye. All right. Sounds good. And it says the teams that have drone shows are Arizona State, Cal, Florida, LSU, Texas, Ohio State, Clemson, and Nebraska. Now, maybe not the lowest tier teams, but I'm thinking if I want to run with one of these teams, maybe a Arizona State or Cal or Nebraska, not big, overpowering programs. Arizona State, is kind of, that's an interesting one because I like their uniform. So we'll see. Maybe I'll choose one of these teams that either have a drone show or a light show. So we'll see. All right, let's keep it moving. What else? Anything else? Traditional runouts. Okay, we know about that. They're basically just improving on what they had in 25. Quick runout, streamlined for speed. What is that? It says these sequences are shorter versions of the standard runouts, offering a quick experience without losing the essence of college football. Quick runouts are the default for Road to Road to CFP, catering to ranked players who prefer efficiency. but they also can appear in Dynasty mode for unranked CPU opponents at home. Okay, so it sounds like you're going to have an opportunity to either have the standard presentation as far as, runouts and all of that, or you could do a quick streamlined version, as it says here, to still feel the essence, but not as long. So, okay. And then there's Road to Glory runouts as well. I'm not a huge Road to Glory player, so I won't get into that, but I will just say that they have some, as it says here, a personal perspective for Road to Glory. Band formations. Now, this is new. Absolutely. Now, let's read what it says. It says, also keep an eye out for iconic pregame band formations across teams such as Illinois, Appalachian State. That's another one. App State is another team that I might run with. Minnesota, Penn State, and Louisiana Lafayette, and many more. Okay. Mascots and traditions. All right, we definitely know what that's about. So taking it a step further than College Football 25. It says here, here's a look at new mascots joining the game this year. Didn't know that these mascots were missing, but I'll just, read the teams here. It just says Utah, Iowa, Arkansas, Duke, Kansas and Kansas State, Mississippi State, Boise State, Boston College, Louisville, Pittsburgh, SMU, Army and Navy, NC State, Ohio, East Carolina, South Florida, Northwestern, Washington State, and Oregon State, Rutgers, Kentucky, Missouri, Air Force, Arizona, Baylor, Cincinnati, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Akron, Bowling Green, Wyoming, Colorado State, Coastal Carolina, and it says Pop-Tarts Bowl. It says, yes, even the Pop-Tarts Bowl has its own mascot, adding a whimsical charm to the game. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Had no idea. So that's cool. Touchdown and turnover tradition, celebrating the big moment. So we saw a lot of this in the trailer, so I'm cool with that. But I'll just read the first blurb here. It says, along with the new mascots, we've introduced various touchdowns and turnover traditions that showcase each program's culture. These celebrations are a unique part of college football, capturing the excitement and pride of impactful plays. So, all right. Fine by me so far. Rivalries. It says another area we concentrated on was adding in more rivalry games, a big differentiator for college football. Go out there and compete for a battle of the bones and try to collect them all for your trophy room. Make sure to check out the Dynasty Deep Dive. Okay. Huddle tomorrow to learn. Oh, tomorrow. It says tomorrow. So that's sounding like the Dynasty Deep Dive will be happening, on June 24th. If you're reading this today, this blog came out today, June 23rd, which is Monday. It says tomorrow the Dynasty blog will be coming out, and they probably do got to move rather fast because the game is dropping in 2 weeks? So these blogs are well behind as far as marketing. But all right, we'll be on the lookout for that, and I look forward to that. I absolutely look forward to that. Let's see what else. Anything else? I'm always here for this. Let's see what it says here. Player authenticity, a new standard. One main focus area for this year was improving player authenticity. In College Football 25, we established a strong base for player likeness variations. For College Football 26, we've improved the fidelity for the player heads with newly upgraded machine learning-based pipeline. Okay. Expanded player body types. I think we all have seen that in the trailer, but some of us who have been playing the Madden beta, we've seen that. Let's talk about this really quick. It says jersey deformation and wrinkle simulation. Because I have a comment about this. This new feature adds a dynamic layer to the gameplay, especially alongside our physics-based tackling system. We use machine learning to train thousands of player animations for realistic jersey deformation, improving the visual fidelity of every play. These updates ensure that every player, from the star quarterback to the underappreciated special teams player, looks and feels like they belong on the field. I'm sorry, guys, I'm reading too fast. I'm out-reading myself, if you will. And it says uniforms, a fresh look for every team. Uniforms are key to college football's identity, showcasing the pride and uniqueness of each program. In College Football 26, we've made significant progress in expanding and updating uniform options, ensuring that every team in every mode looks their best on the field. Now, I have a side comment about uniforms. Here's a couple things that I'm not seeing being advertised, and I can honestly say it's not something I've seen from beta either. I want to see more degradation to the uniform, more of it, right? What I mean by that, not it just getting dirty. I would like to get to a point where these uniforms could be like torn and ripped, because I can't remember what Madden it was. It was within the last 3 or 4 years, I think. And I swear that was a feature that was being advertised, and I don't think that we've seen that. And if we did, I missed it. But I want to say, since we've been on this generation of consoles, the talk of that was out there, right? And it never happened, so to speak. I want to see that. I want to see more realistic stainage, right? And rips and tears and things of that nature, and scars and stuff on the helmet. Because I think we're at that point with technology that we could do that, We should be able to do that. And there's other games, not football, and maybe football, maybe like a maximum of one of them, but there's other games that are able to do certain things like that cosmetically with a uniform, whether it's whatever sport it is. So I would like to see these football games get to that. Maybe that's something next iteration. Maybe that's the next year's game. But I think we need to start seeing that to add more to the realism, especially with the weather and all of that, talking about Madden 26, right? But then also, here's another thing that I want to see. Now that you're saying that you're pairing the jersey with the physics-based gameplay, I need to see this happen now. You guys have heard me talk about, and I don't know if y'all are looking at me down in the corner. I'm pulling my shirt here. Y'all have heard me talk about jersey pulls for years. Now, I believe it is absolutely possible. And I'm not talking about the way they do it kind of in FC or FIFA, right? I'm talking about a realistic grab of the jersey. Maybe they go with the cloth technology that NHL has had, right? And when you can literally pull that jersey, and just imagine what that does, again, using their words, the visual fidelity. Imagine what that does for the gameplay, for holds and pass interference and things of that nature. So I would love to see the game go towards that. And I'm definitely going to be emphasizing that, minor little detail there, but I think it helps with presentation, immersion, and gameplay. So I'm definitely going to be talking to the devs there and say, hey, man, I think it's time we start looking into that. It looks like this is time. It looks like it's possible now. What else do I have? Head coaches, we already know about that, man. So that's great. That is great. It says the student crowd and secondary characters breathing life into the stadium. Okay, so what does it say here? College football is much about the atmosphere as the game itself. Yep, I just said that a little earlier. 1,700 plus new heads for secondary characters. Strand hair with simulation. Okay, it says this new hair technology adds realism to characters, from cheerleaders to student sections when we zoom in with the camera. Okay, and it says student hero crowd and cheerleaders. These characters have been upgraded to match the detail of our players, ensuring that every aspect of the game feels connected and immersive. And yes, we heard the memes about last year. That one super fan who seemed to appear in every game, he's now watching from home, replaced by a more varied and authentic crowd. Okay, that is wonderful. I mean, it's a little addition, but these things are necessary. Audio and commentary. Let's read that. It says, my name is Torsten Staley. He says, I am the audio producer for EA Sports College Football 26. The response to College Football 25 blew us away, and we hope to build on that experience with what we have in store for you in College Football 26, especially regarding audio. As a former member of the Oregon Marching Band, audio is much a part of the game day experience for me, as the tailgates, unique school traditions, and the thrill of beating your rival. So commentary says, let's start with commentary. We're excited to bring back our 2 commentary teams from College Football 25. Combined with our teams, it says combined, our teams have spent 200 additional hours in the booth and recorded 15,000 lines to build on their initial CFB 25 content. That's great. This year, they have added even more context around rivalry games. That is outstanding as well. What else? We'll also added banter and around coaches and players from last year. Having real coaches as a part of the College Football 26 is something that our commentary teams thoroughly enjoyed exploring for the first time, okay? And it just says, finally, we want to add to your story throughout the season, whether in Dynasty or Road to Glory, and hearing how your season is progressing through commentary is an important part of that. Yes, yes, commentary needs to tell the story. It needs to tell the story, and that should be throughout game, throughout season, throughout Dynasty. So I hope they build on more of that. It says creating talking points about postseason results from the previous year, national ranking check-ins, reliance on the transfer portal, your recruiting results, and how you are as a player are progressing through an individual game. We help make the season feel even more alive. That is great. That is great. It needs to be more of that. Definitely needs to be more telling the story, man. I mean, that's what commentary is supposed to do. Connect all of the dots from previous year, current season, future, and Dynasty. You know what I mean? Music, we know about music. Not much I'm going to get into there. I just know that they're trying to create more of a realistic atmosphere with some of the real songs and things like that, and PA music as well. What is it saying here about regular music, though? It says, beyond putting our commentary together, one of the favorite things about working on College Football 26 is the wide variety of music that we get to play with. The musical soundscape of college football game is one of the reasons it stands out, and in order to make this game more and more like the games you go to and watch from home on Saturdays, we broke these variations into a few different buckets. Okay, PA music, marching bands, and I think that's it. So there's going to be marching bands covering certain songs that you are familiar with. And of course, PA music has more of the realistic songs that you hear on Saturdays, right? There you go. It says chants and crowd. That's something that I won't really dive into, but it just says they recorded an additional 160 chants to feature in the game across all modes. It says, yes, even in high school for Road to Glory, there will be chants for teams there. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. What does it say here about ESPN? Wait a minute here. It says, our continued partnership with ESPN in this area has been fantastic in building these environments. Let's go back and read. It says, finally, let's talk about crowd noise. No college game is complete without a fired up crowd. Over the past year, we have been able to amplify and build out the crowd experience to make places like Tiger Stadium and LSU, and is it Autzen Stadium and Oregon stand out. And this is when it says their continued relationship with ESPN has allowed them to do that. They need to tap more into these partnerships that they have for both games. Now, here's one that definitely catches my eye right before we get to the final thoughts. All new in-game broadcast graphics. This catches my attention because this one is special to me. I'll explain. Let's read what it says here. Presentation is not just all the visuals and sounds, but also the flow of the game and all of the awesome broadcast banners and PIP information panel in the play call screen. We have refreshed the game with a new style and all new broadcast banners throughout the game, from the first time you enter the field to between quarters and halftime stat updates. Entering the field, you can trigger a large variety of different information from game to game, such as comparing top players between the team, a lineup view of the defensive lineup, a crew of top talented running backs, comparing the QBs against each other, or featuring the team's top impact players of the game. All of this stuff is great. It's great. And look at this, guys. We're already at about 20 minutes. There's no way to get this smaller, but I try. All of that is good, right? But the reason why it stands out to me, because I want to see EA deliver a much better broadcast presentation. And what I mean, and college football did a pretty good job with it last year. More of that, stuff that's going on between plays, the overlays, the comparisons, again, telling the story even with stats. More context, like not just saying, oh, so-and-so is, 6 rushes for 60 yards. No, I would love it to add more context. Continue, and they did a pretty decent job with it in 25, but I want to see them continue to go down that path with overlays and stats that tell the story. And again, showing you different things that's happening on the sideline, what players are doing and all of that. So hopefully with them saying it's an all new in-game broadcast graphics, I'm waiting to see what that is, because that adds to the immersion. Talking about and mixing the commentary with that, talking about why this guy started off hot in the first half and now he's been shut down in the second half, and how his, running stats have gone down, or the quarterback threw 2 interceptions early in the game and now since then he's gone, 10 for 11 for 230 yards, something like that. This receiver didn't have any targets in the first half, and now he's in the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. He's got 7 catches for 89 yards. That type of stuff. Continue to tell the story, and also, show stats and overlays and relevant information from previous games, upcoming opponents, why this game is important, stuff like that. And that's what I'm saying when I say I want to see EA continue, just bring, as much as you can with that type of presentation for both this and Madden, because that's something that's been lacking in Madden for a long, long time. And not just the repetitive cutscenes, right? The same ones over and over. I understand you're going to have some are going to be the same, of course, but the way you make the game more immersive is, again, with the stat overlays. That's how you combat the stagnant or the repetitive cutscenes, is just having information on top of information. But we'll see. We'll see what that means. But that is it, man. That's all I'm going to cover. But I will say this, like it says in my title, the reason why presentation is so vital to a simulation sport is what I say all the time. Most of you guys recognize me as, SimFBallCritic, he's the simulation guy. He's all about gameplay. And that's a little bit of a misconception. Yes, I'm all about simulation, authentic realism and all of that as far as gameplay. But again, you guys often miss my point. I always say simulation it should be the authentic experience, not just gameplay. It all matters. The simulation experience for whatever the respective sport is that the companies are trying to replicate, whether that's basketball, football, hockey, soccer, whatever. It's the experience. So that includes presentation. That includes environments and weather and the crowds, the commentary and the audio, along with gameplay, along with depth. Especially when you're a guy like me, when you're talking about a dynasty or a franchise mode. That's what simulation is all about. So I know some people might be like, why is Sim making a video about this? He's a gameplay guy. No. I'm a simulation guy. All of these things are important. You just heard me say over the years, it wasn't as important to me until gameplay gets right. But now gameplay is tracking and trending in the right direction. Yeah, let's develop it all together. So there you have it. But hopefully, guys, you're still around at the 23-minute mark, almost 24 minutes, my bad. Excuse me. If you are still around, make sure you hit that like button, man. Let me just remind y'all, if you like the content, hit that like button. If you like the content, again, subscribe, and as well cut on your notifications, man. And outside of that, listen, we got some games that are coming our way. Hopefully they live up to expectations. Everything is still TBD, and I recommend everybody continue to feed the devs with feedback. Continue to feed the forums and everything with feedback, because it finally sounds like, for whatever reason, the suits at EA are allowing the devs to go to work, and they're taking our feedback into consideration. All right, that's all I got for y'all, man. So, hey, I guess y'all will see me again tomorrow. I can't guarantee exactly what time, but I should be doing another video at some point tomorrow, being as that this article said the Dynasty Deep Dive is on its way. But until then, y'all stay safe, stay blessed, stay healthy. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.